we have another person joining us now, Mike, who is on vacation. Don't worry. We have Jonah Kowal, CTO of Logs.io, joining us. Jonah, can you show your camera? And you did. All
Should
right,
see it. Cool.
There we go. Awesome. Do we have everybody on there? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So first of all, I got to thank you all for the presentation and joining us for that one. Jonah, thanks for making Mike do this on his vacation. That's really appreciated. Let's get to some questions because they take a little bit of time when we do this in a panel thing. And I'll probably just start kind of going around the room and picking out certain people for it. Everybody will have a chance. So the first person I'm seeing here is Todd. Todd, my question is, what's the hardest aspect of AWS to optimize natively?
Well, I would say it's probably reserved instances and savings plans, and the ability to, like so many of our customers who want to sort of keep back some of those savings to themselves and allocate them to their customers, to different departments as they see fit, because Amazon basically says first come, first serve. You use this instance, the company or the payer has a discount for it, we're going to apply it to the first one who uses it. And that's not always what enterprises or resellers want to do.
I like that. And I'm going to go to, so Jeremy is my next one, right next to Todd here. So I'm just going to kind of go around. Jeremy, same question. What's the hardest aspect of AWS to optimize natively?
So I'm going to give you a little bit of a curveball answer. Everybody expects I'm going to say security because that's what my company does, but I'm actually going to say networking. So getting networking right at scale with like fast moving, fast changing infrastructure and as code environments is actually really challenging with the native tool set, in my opinion.
All right, awesome. I like that. That's a really good question there. Sebastian, I'm going to jump with you to the same question.
I'm going to go with what Jeremy said. That this is what I usually see with our customers. That the biggest issues that occur are networking. You talk to customers who are really on top of their game, but they just don't have an easy way of managing their networks. Absolutely agree with Jeremy.
All right. Nice, thank you. That's like one vote for Jeremy. Check. You know, we're probably.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nicholas, same question to you. What is the hardest aspect of AWS to optimize natively?
I think I had to. I mean, I agree with both of you, but I think I'm going to go with Todd. So it's going to be a tie so far. Because we've run a lot into that issue where a customer wants to, well, it wants to save money because they have a standard consumption of compute resources, but they don't actually get, it's not a simple thing to put on motion and later on to interpret how does it impact your bills, what purchase option can you decide, and how it's going to forecast. I think I have to agree with that.
All right. So we've got a tie here. I think, Jonah, you're the tiebreaker.
So I'm going to totally screw everything up. I can see the challenges in networking, but it's worse in a data center. So like, I can't go down that path. For us as a company that we ingest over 10 petabytes of log data per day. So you're talking about massive scale and storage. Storage is a big challenge for us. And it's not only our storage infrastructure, it's also all of our customers who also have their own buckets and their own permissioning and their own storage infrastructures. And Amazon doesn't really do a lot to help us manage and secure in the native tool set when it comes to storage and the various types of storage. So that's a big part of our cost and complexity in delivering our service internally.
Throw Coverall. So sorry, no tiebreaker. Everybody's a winner. That's all right. Now here's an interesting question. And Jonah, I'm gonna start with you. What is the most consistently wrong thing you see AWS users do?
Oh man, there's so many.
Ouch. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot, just because I would say that people learn as they go, just like everyone. And so you see a lot of fundamental mistakes, whether it's around automation in general, I would say that people make a lot of mistakes, or they just have too many different automation systems. And Amazon itself matures. They're always introducing new capabilities to automate infrastructure, whether it's container services, blueprinting services. And so as you go, you end up with like one of everything. So the challenge is like, how many different Kubernetes services do you have to manage? How many different ways to define infrastructure do you have within your environment? And it's hard to keep pace with the different ways to do the same thing, even within Amazon's tool set. So
That's a really good point there. Nicholas, what is the most consistently wrong thing you see AWS users do?
I will have to go in two directions here. First, I think networking for unexpert users is a challenge. We have seen a lot of workloads, productive workloads running in the public subnets, everything exposed to the internet, everything working fine, everything deployed cohesively, but everything scannable through the public internet. So I think that is one of the most important things users usually do wrong. And second of all, I think I want to go with IAM management. We usually go into the console and see lots and lots of things. A lack of strategy there, users that are completely old, keys that never have been rotated. I would have to say that IAM it's often neglected and used as a centered user management tool and not paid attention to.
Nicholas, so those are some good points there, and they follow the well-architected. So good segue for that one. All right, Sebastian, same thing for you.
Oh gosh, I hate to say this, but I've come across quite a lot of customers who still are under the impression that the cloud backs up itself. And I just see this far too often, where they're saying, the cloud backup? Why would I want to do that? The cloud is already backed up. And quite frankly, nothing has changed. I mean, it's basically just somebody else's computer. It's just Jeff Bezos' computer in his basement, and that's where your workloads are running. So you still have to back it up.
we just replicate everything 3 or 4 times. So that's our solution.
There you go.
Nice. That's kind of a good point there. Jeremy, same question for you.
Yeah, I mean, everything that has been said so far is correct, but I would say, like, if I think about most frequently observed, meaning the number of customers that I go into, right? How many of them get this right versus wrong? The number one for me is tagging. I would say, actually as a percentage, and I don't mean this to sound critical of AWS customers out there, but I would say that I've seen less than 10% of customers that both have a tagging standard that is documented, communicated, and followed, right? I was sat on a panel a couple of years ago with 3 gentlemen from 3 large corporations, all of whom running, more than 20 AWS accounts in the organization, greater than 200 EC2 instances, and then associated resources elsewhere. And I asked them the question of, like, from the time that you guys get in a room and you're on the whiteboard and you define that tagging standard, like, how long will people follow it? And the answers were so indicative of this problem. So one was, it's good until the next new person joins the team who wasn't in that meeting. 2 was, it's good for about a week. And the third was, once we leave that room, it's over. Forget it. Like, unless we're creating the resources in that room while we're all sitting around the table together, it's just not going to get followed or adhered to. And that's why I'd say, like, you have to have, we talked about automation earlier today, but you have to have a way to actually audit and enforce these things. It's not enough to just define them.
You said that right there. I wanted to piggyback off of 3 things you said, and the next thing I said, well, also enforcement, and you just ended with that one. You can have all this great stuff, but if you're not enforcing it, it's not going to be implemented. Very good point. I like that, and I'm taking a couple of things here because I got a couple comments on that one. Todd, you're going to round it out there. What is the most consistently wrong thing you see AWS users do?
Well, I'm going to agree with everybody, but I'm going to take it up a notch and just say trying to do it yourself, right? It is so complex managing the cloud, and Amazon, to your credit, comes out with new stuff literally every week, and trying to do it all yourself and using Microsoft Excel to maintain all your reserved instances, and then you guys come out with a new instance type or a new instance size, and you got to have a little less pride and say, I need help. And whether that's through a service provider or your Amazon rep or software tools like any of us offer, it's complex, and it gets more complex every day. And I know what it takes for us to stay on top of it. More than half of our company are engineers trying to just keep up with you guys. So trying to do it yourself.
I agree with you. During this time that everybody's dealing with the current situation, I find a lot that I like to tell customers, now's the time to double down on providers like yourselves, invest in those, because that's where your cost savings, that's where your environment, your help is going to come from. You're going to spend less in the long run. So that's really good point there, trying not to do it yourself. All right, I'm going to round out with the last question before we do our final act. And let me see here who I haven't met. Sebastian, I haven't had you go first, and then we'll round a little bit more. As an innovator and AWS partner, can you share your predictions for the cloud in the remainder of 2020 and beyond?
Oh, wow. Well, I think one of the most important things, well, AWS comes out with new features and services all the time. I mean, since this meeting started, there's probably 18 new services. And I think the 2 that come to mind the most is, in the immediate future, it's going to be AWS Outpost. That's going to be a huge innovation that people will really learn to really like. That they have all of the advantages of the AWS cloud, but it's kind of sort of hybrid, right? It's on-prem, but it is the AWS cloud, so which is really nice. And the other goes hand in hand, and I think this would be the beyond. It's AWS Wavelength, and far too few people know about this. I mean, essentially, that's you having AWS resources with single-digit latency. That's going to be especially important now that we go into a 5G future, and there's going to be some killer apps that are going to make use of that infrastructure.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that. I took down some notes on that one. I want to see what everybody else has to say for that one. Let's go with Nicholas here. As an innovator and AWS partner, can you share your predictions for the remaining of 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, I think I want to go in a slightly different direction, talking about public cloud in general, and I think it's going to become a really key tool and a key player in this post-pandemic scenario. There are many people reinventing their businesses, reinventing their way of living, or trying to go in different directions since the lockdown, businesses not being able to open, and people needs to keep going. So the cloud as the main platform for all technological platforms and innovations, I think it's going to become a key tool with the free tier, with the pay-as-you-go, with the try, and if it works, it's okay, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't cost you lots of money. It's going to become a key tool for those trying to reinvent themselves in this new scenario, in this new world.
Very good point. Kind of reinvent. Sorry for the plug there. All right, let's go.
You switch mics again.
I saw it pop and switch, right? I have it monitored right here on the screen, and as soon as it picked up my voice, it switched over. So good call to everyone. All right, Jonas, same question for you.
Sure. So I think one of the areas where we've seen maybe a gap or an opportunity, depending on what you think of it as, in the area of collaboration. We probably all experienced the pain that's called Chime, and I think AWS could do a lot to build better collaborative tools and platforms for all of us. Market that they'll likely get into at some point in a more serious manner, maybe through an acquisition. I also see them getting more heavily involved in certain open source projects, which is usually predecessor to new services coming out. So I think we'll see some new data analytics services and capabilities from Amazon as they enter areas of the market that they're not in today, and just more competition with partners, just building new services that maybe compete with many of us, and just provide new opportunities for Amazon to conquer the world. And I think it's going to be an interesting reInvent, and next year is going to be full of innovation too.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You know, obviously we're having a virtual reInvent. It's free. Don't forget, everybody can join and have some fun there, learn a lot. There's a lot of things going on for that, so I can't wait to see what comes up. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you the same question. As an innovator AWS partner, can you share your predictions for the remaining of 2020 and beyond?
Look, I can, but first I need to confirm one thing that Jonah asked there. Is it AWS intention to conquer the world? I need an official answer from you here, John.
It might be Jeff's intention, and AWS is the vehicle in doing so, or one of them.
I'm sorry, I have no comment on this. I have no information on that one. I love what I do. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, all good, all good. Just having some fun. Yeah, but
Thank you, Jeremy, for putting me on the spot and my job at that time. Sorry, Jeff. I apologize.
Right. Yeah, I have Jeff first degree on LinkedIn as well. I'm sure I could hit him up. Just kidding. Anyway, so just you know, I'm actually going to focus on one very specific area because it's something that we're seeing a lot of our customers move towards as they go beyond, let's say, the first phase of cloud adoption, and they really go into optimizing the way that they're using cloud, you know, AWS or even other providers. And it's really kind of the move from, you know, kind of virtual machine workload orientation towards more serverless and particular containerized environments. And I think one of the main things that we're going to see in the remainder of this year, and I'll be really curious to see what announcements are made at reInvent, is some solutions around connecting more ephemeral containerized workloads to long-term backend storage. So we think about things like EFS, S3, or, you know, database services. Right now, it's still pretty complicated for customers to build containerized, let's say, Kubernetes-based workloads that communicate with backends with long-term storage elsewhere, and constructing all of, let's say, the networking, all of the security components, all the kind of plumbing, if you will, that wires those up. I'm really looking for some real innovation there. I predict that's going to be coming, you know, this year. I really think there's going to be something reInvent around this because the, you know, the trend is clear from the customers that we're working with. And then beyond that, I do think we're entering a phase where cloud is going to become kind of a necessity, and where frankly a lot of the solutions that partners like ourselves bring to the table are going to become, you know, we're going to have to keep innovating the value that we deliver because the nature of the workloads is going to change so much. So things like cost optimization, things like, you know, auditing security groups, a lot of that is going to have to change to keep pace with where the customers are moving to. And that's kind of the predictions that I would give you.
All right, so I got two comments here. So Jeremy, you mentioned one, that one with connecting long-term storage. Check out my YouTube channel. I did a 3-part series with Milan Thompson-Bukovic, and next Tuesday I have a live Q&A. I suggest you join that one and ask the question there. Post that one. And Sebastian, you talked about Outpost. Speaking of that, I did a nice stream there with Matt Lewis, who's a developer advocate for Outpost, on my YouTube. So check those out. Might answer some of your questions. And last question, well, same question, last person there, Mr. Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, this pandemic, you look around, look at this broadcast right now, we're all working remotely from our homes. And, you know, at CloudCheckr, we were growing so fast that we were, you know, next to each other and expanding and trying to get more office space. And now I have a huge office here and all the equipment I need. And I don't see myself going back to working in an office. So if you multiply that out and your employees are no longer tethered to a physical building, it really makes more sense to move your data to the cloud, where it's, as I think Sebastian mentioned, 5G. The cloud is your office, the world is your office, and there's no point in locking that into a physical building when your employees are not there anymore. The latency doesn't matter. So I think this is a trend that is not going to reverse.